Welcome back. It is yours truly, Nick, a Movie AV Impulse. And before we get into it, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe, hit that like, and hit that share because I do a lot of things over here. A lot of original segments, and this is one of them. Welcome to another Who Did It Better, aka Head to Head. And I love these two guys that I picked out to go head to head because you got Frank Lucas on one hand, who is a gangster in his own way, and you got Whitey Bulger, who is a totally different type of gangster in his own way. And I know what you're thinking, why would you take these two titans and try to pin them against each other? Well, they both have very similar stories. One started ruling in the 60s into the 70s, and the other one, Whitey Bulger, started ruling in the 70s up into the 90s. They both ran their territories, they both had riches, and they both just didn't give a Now, once again, if it's your first time here, you've never seen one of these episodes, what I'm going to do is take 5 questions. I'll go over the answers once I give the description of why I think this and that. So the first question being, who had the more loyal crew? And this one was kind of tough because you had Frank Lucas, his family was basically his crew, and then his family went out and kind of recruited people. But then you have Whitey Bulger, who really didn't have family, it was just friends. They were pretty loyal to him too. Whereas I feel that Frank Lucas did have a loyal crew. A couple of them would slip away and he would have to kind of get them back on track. Whereas Whitey Bulger, whatever he said, they did it without even a hesitation. This is a very hard one to pick, but I gotta say, Whitey Bulger had the more loyal crew, whereas Frank Lucas's crew, I feel like they just wanted to make money, and then that was it. Second question coming in is gonna be, which out of the two were more organized? Now this one's a lot simpler to answer, and while Whitey Bulger did have things under control, he wasn't very organized. He was very sloppy. The fact that he was, basically working for the feds, his best friend became an agent. So because he was doing that, he was kind of okay to be a little sloppy. But as far as Frank Lucas, he had things tightened up. Nobody messed with it when it came to collecting his money. He wasn't afraid to do what he had to do to make sure you paid up. And I mean the same with Whitey Bulger, don't get me wrong, but Frank Lucas was a lot more organized. He had everything mapped out, and the way that he was moving drugs to the military was absolutely insane. So when it comes to that, I don't think anybody has ever topped that. I've got to give this one to Frank Lucas all day long. Question number 3, which one was more cold-hearted? Oh. Now this is another difficult one to answer because you got Frank Lucas, who literally shot a dude in broad daylight. So this one kind of made it a little bit harder. But when it came to himself getting his hands dirty after he was on the come up and came up, he really didn't do much after that. Whereas Whitey Bulger, I mean, the man's did his own boy in. And all they did was get into a little bar argument. He also wasn't afraid to get his hands dirty in the middle of all the mist going on. I just really think that Whitey Bulger was a lot more braver. He was in broad daylight as well. Bow! Killing my man that was gonna snitch on him. He strangled a girl in front of the dude that she was messing around with. He was just more cold-hearted, especially after he lost his son. So this one is definitely going to be, that point is going to Whitey Bulger. Question number 4. Who enticed more fear? And again, I'm sorry, I gotta give this one to Whitey Bulger. People feared Whitey Bulger because they knew once again he would pop you in a heartbeat. Whereas I feel like the scene where Frank did pop the guy in broad daylight, I think he just did it out of like the don't mess with me or this could happen. Whereas Whitey Bulger was just like, listen, you cross me, you talk about me, you do anything and anything to do with my organization, I'm gonna kill you myself. And I just think that he was way more feared, especially in that whole Boston area that he ran and outside of Boston. Everybody knew, don't play with his money, don't play with his family, don't play with his feelings because he'll just pop you. So this one's going to Whitey Bulger all day. Now, question number 5. Without the fate, because we all know where most gangsters or anything end up, without death or prison, who would have been more successful down the road if they didn't get caught? And unfortunately, in this one, if you take away the aspect that Whitey Bulger was on the run for like 20 something years and got away with it and wasn't discovered until he posted a picture, or his girlfriend posted a picture on Facebook, and boom, he was caught. Frank Lucas, yes, he went to prison. So in that aspect, if he was never to go to prison, in the long run, I think Frank Lucas would have been more successful. It's because he was more organized, he was more well kept. And while, yes, he was a little flashy, and I mean a very minimum, like Jada Kiss said, throw the chinchilla in the fire like Frank, he wasn't out there like flashing like Nicky Barnes was. So I think he was a little bit more level-headed when it came to that. Whereas Whitey Bulger, I don't think he would have been successful. I think eventually somebody would have took him down with the quickness, because while being feared is absolutely like the thing you want to be when you're in that business, you also have to remember when you are feared, somebody is going to overcome that fear and just pop you. And it'll be the lowest guy in the totem pole. Whereas Frank would put people on and help them get money. And as long as you didn't, screw that up, he would make sure you were taken care of. And that's just that. So again, I'll give that one to Frank. But overall, Whitey Bulger definitely was the more superb gangster. And in this head-to-head, he's definitely the winner. But let me know what you think. 1 through 5, who do you think was really in that category? Did I get it right? Did I get it wrong? But these are just my opinions. And I will see you on the next video. Peace.